and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am.
Hello there, everyone, and Happy New Year. So it's a new year, isn't it? It's a new dawn. That's what the hearts of so many right now are feeling, are choosing to believe and align with. And, you know, every year, every month actually, I rush ahead with everything I wish to offer and put out into the world. And I have prepared the monthly content for YouTube as well as Patreon, and it's there. It's just coming because I need quite a lot of time to put it all together, to edit it. You know, it's not as simple as it sounds. And I'm sorry for a slight delay because I've been processing so much ever since this year began. And today I was just sitting there after my yoga practice because during the December holiday, timeline, I fell out of my practice. I was out of tune. I was just in my own world. I needed this time and space to contemplate, to just be, to allow myself to be, the child, and to just be with the feeling of what it means to be in the space of receiving. So as I was processing so much was coming through, and today I was sitting and I felt the calling to just make this video, although I already recorded other videos before. But something told me that it's time to start this year with love, not just all the knowledge I'm usually sharing, and it's always like so structured and prepared and everything I wish to put out in the world. And in truth, when you look deep enough, well enough, you see that you are here to be loved. And actually, I've had a very challenging year that's behind me. It's still within our hearts. When things happen, when you have situations in life that you say, oh, now it's New Year, I forget about it, time to move on, because it's the new year, it's like a blank slate. In truth, every day can be a blank slate, as you know, but it takes preparation, devotion, and courage to go so deep within that this work within becomes a blossoming of love, that it's actually possible, that it becomes an art of physical manifestation. So in truth, every day can be this blank slate. And although in the new year, we all feel this pressure because it's like a flow of energy of the collective that's pushing us to move forward, yet something within says it's not time yet, because in truth, as you know, this is not the real new year. It's just a calendar changing, and it's the old Gregorian calendar. But this is not what I want to talk about today. In so many ways, when the new year begins, we want to go into prophecies. We want to make intentions, decrees, activations, all of that. And we want to just get it all done with. We want to have that new start. We want to have that new beginning. And whenever we are so programmed to rush ahead, we forget about the most important element, which is love. It's love. Love is always there. Love is not saying 2018, bye, gone you are. Here it is, us welcoming a new year, 2019. But the fact is, if we haven't really dissolved all of what actually bothered us, on our path of initiation, everything that was quite challenging for us, and we wish to leave it in the old, almost like it's a box you put something in and then you throw it away, and we want to move in and, into the new and rush ahead, rush along. And truth is, if love's not there, if love has not in a way dissolved and liquefied everything that was a part of what's still a part in us, it's maybe a construct within us that we throw away, but it's an idea. But it's much more than just letting things go here as a concept and then moving on. It's more of what we're taking with us, that we have crystallized, that we have managed to crystallize into a higher essence. This is what Ascension is about. So love has the quality to do that. Love is the glue that actually does that. And when I was going through my own metamorphosis and I was shedding skin like never before, I'm telling you, I've been through so much in life. And today, actually, after the first 3 days of January, which for me was like literally the 3 days of darkness and then back into the light and resurrection and the phoenix, and the messages were there as well. All of a sudden I felt this push to actually journal about this. And I wrote this long journal, and I made a decree to my beloved family of light, my light illumined council. And together we channeled this beautiful message, and this deep activation and invocation for them and to serve in this unified presence. Afterwards, every day I had a wave of release and coming again and again. I was like, when does this ever end? And the truth is, love does not see it like something that we need to complete, pack, ready to sign it off and move on to new things. Love wants to bring things with. Love does not leave behind. Love wants to bring with. So we're always saying, oh, what do we leave behind? What are we moving into? Well, the things we leave behind is like in the metaphor of snake shedding its skin. It's like the ideas, the old ideas we have about these things. They're actually prospects for the new. They have that seed for the new, even what we call the old. But the seed of illumination is always there, and that's what we don't see when we don't see through the eyes of love. So we want to leave things behind, enter into the new, and that's the wheel of reincarnation. So it's always spinning because it's an endless game of not recognizing the value and meaning of love, as in the glue for ascension. Okay, so as I was in this, after 3 days of darkness, I felt like this light of resurrection occurring. And yesterday, weird things started happening and weird synchronicities. I found this feather on the floor, right? It was a white, fluffy feather, almost like the kind of feathers you find. It's like baby feathers when your soul wants to be nurtured. Remember the feather that was like falling? That's like jumped out of there and here and there in one of my videos about. It was about these things that are happening in terms of the cosmic activations that we're receiving, and then this, at the end, this feather just graced us with the present, and then it just disappeared. It was not a physical feather. There was any feathers when I looked afterwards. It was like a little manifestation of light, and I've never witnessed that. And I have more and more of these things happening lately, and it's getting kind of bizarre. But today I was pushed to actually start the new year with this message of love, rather than usually I put all sorts of knowledge and information and it's all so structured. And it's okay, we do need structure, but it's not that which initiates the journey. What initiates the journey is love, and what completes the journey, what creates the synthesis is that glue is also love. But in this way, love that has become a higher octave of itself, love that has remembered itself, and yet at the higher degree of what is perceived as that love. So yesterday I found this feather on the floor. It was right after the third day of that cleansing and purging, and I was crying nonstop. I just couldn't. It was like when you say there's no reason, and yet you do know the reason, because it's just an absolute dissolving of all the shackles, the layers, everything that was a part of the journey, because simply it was necessary. Sometimes what spirit says to me, it's like it was necessary for you to exist in these dense circumstances. So layers, or what we sometimes call things that are boundaries, or even things that we would say physical, like you create a shield of energy or a bubble, or sometimes we say that's a mask of energy, that's a coating, but it's necessary on that level. And once love wants to more deeply invite you into this journey of ascension through the heart, which is the cosmic pulse of life, it's the Holy Spirit reanimation of all of us that are ready, that are illumined beings here. And it's like the love that wants to just beat and beat and just be what it is, without all these troublesome ideas that we have about reality and the challenges and the difficulties that we believe must be endured during the challenging aspects, but they don't have to. So now all of this dissolving, it creates a lot of burden for the body. And this is what I've been feeling. It's like if you are part of the team who has been starting to feel the new illumined template of light reaching the octaves of the physicality, because it starts to digress, it starts to move into the physical form in gradual waves, and it's waves and waves and pulses of energy that we don't always know and understand, and we can interpret with the human mind, but we feel, we know it's happening. So I found this feather, and I went up on the hill, and it was so cold, it was -degrees, and I was recording a January Ascension update, which will all come after this video. And all of a sudden I wanted to reach in my pocket, because that's where I put the feather, right? And I wanted to show it to you guys in the video, and the feather was gone. I looked everywhere, and even in my backpack, although I knew I didn't put it there. So the feather just, again, it was unmanifest. It just wasn't there. I was like, what's happening? And it was like, it was just there for me. And then I'm witnessing these things right in front of my eyes, and it's like I don't understand what's happening, and I don't need to, but I'm going through a stage that's very important for me in the journey that will continue, and I will update you about all this in the videos to come. I just want to put out a message of love here in this video and want to transmit and put all this love out for all of you who are also here, who know that there is a much greater essence that we can tap into beyond just what we want to know about our journeys and, you know, our missions and all of that. And it can get so frustrating at times, and we get self-labeled, self-entitled, so you know, attached to what we believe it's our mission or what we have to do, the goals that are a part of that path. And it can get so, you know, so intense at times that we forget about the true nature and purpose of us being here, which again, it's to become a greater and greater presence of love. And love is dissolving all these shackles and illusions and distortions. And when you're in a feeling of time and it's linear and it's difficult and you're frustrated and you're like, that's not my authentic life. And for me, to live authentically is that life, this physical life in form, is once fully claimed by spirit. And that doesn't happen all at once. It's a gradual process, and it's an unveiling that usually it occurs very subliminally. It's like a subtle shift within essences that all of a sudden you look in the mirror, you no longer know who you are. And I've recently had this experience when I'm like, but what am I? You know, although there's parts of us that do know, but there's a new aspect which we're moving into, and that aspect is yet fully unknown and undiscovered. And that's the part that when you get to this point of ascension, it feels like, what is this? You know, because it's so new and it doesn't reach the level of anything else you might have integrated before through what I call the multidimensional stellar self activation of, you know, various aspects of you. But when you start to tap into the synthesized aspect of you and your true mission, because before you have to prepare by going through all of the aspects of the mission. So we would call these all the individual stellar aspects of you. And then a star, when it's born, right? The ascended star, your own unique supernova in a way. That is ready to birth its own nebula self, and that which will create new offsprings of life. That's such a mystical process. And you know, mystics are beings who, instead of creating like fine art and with our hands, we do that as well. It's a part of the earthly living. But in general, why we're really here, we're not here to create tangible physical things, but the creation is occurring within our body. It's the alchemical transformation of the self, moving through so many layers and aspects, and once becoming a crystallized being. It's like an angel on earth, a divine human. And this will all be in my messages that I've already prepared for you guys. For those of you who have been tuning into my work, who have been following, thank you so much. I really want to, because I forgot, I was so hyper driven in the other videos. I simply forgot to say thank you for being here. And I'm really sorry, because I'm sometimes just human as well. I forget things, I misplace things, I go ahead, I go too fast, you know, I'm sometimes too hyperactive. It's just me. It's my experience on earth. And besides having so many different things that we take on as our responsibilities, there's truly just one heartfelt mission that's here. And the overall spirit message I was receiving through my own meditation spaces, we did a lot of meditation work during the holiday season, a lot of plugging in, plugging out from the world, and moving into deeper octave of living. And also in the spirit messages and oracles, it was about this heart, full heart illumination and opening. And this will be in the videos as well, going deeper into it more in a structured way. But here I'm just giving you an overview that this truly has the potential to be the most heart-centered year ever, the most illuminating. It's the year of heart illumination for those who are ready, of course. This is not a prophecy, because as you'll see me explain in the upcoming videos, prophecies cannot exist. It's a spiral consciousness we're entering into, so each one becomes their own prophet, their own living manifestation of divine grace. This is where we're here for. So as I was witnessing so much of falling away, I felt, well, the greatest synthesis is love. And I've been asking myself why and in what way life has become so complex. What's happening? Life used to be so simple. I remember myself, I was always like this, you know, I was always multidimensional. Even when I was a little child, I could go out and play. We had this old weekend house. It was, you know, it was after my father's when he was still alive. He got it from these ancient relatives, and it was like really old house that almost fell apart. But there was this beautiful landscape there, and my favorite, as always, as you know, was going out into nature. And I could get lost in nature for the whole day. And my parents always trusted me. I just went out, I ventured into the world. I was the great adventurer. You know, I was picking up items, I was meeting animals, I was making up stories, I was feeling and seeing beings. Once I even saw the light of the ET ship there, and I'm so sure it was occurring because I heard strange sounds. And then I asked um, people there and who were in the family, and everyone was like, "No, like how didn't they see it? It was like pinkish light, and it was buzzing." And I was like, "How didn't they see it?" And I guess it was just for me. It was like an alter shift, and I still remember that moment as if it was now. And I was always like this. So during the course of the retrospective that I was actually doing this holiday season before the new year began, I was actually witnessing this part of me and how much it wants to return, of course, in a new way. And this purity, this pure sense of this inner benevolence and this inner childlike feeling of spontaneity and joy and adventurism just came out. And the question was, when did life get so complex and why? And it's a part of the journey to make things complex because you know, I'll tell it like it is. I'll tell it like this, how spirit shows me. It doesn't matter whether you are a soul that has been incarnating for many lifetimes, what spirit calls the old soul type, and then what spirit calls the new soul type, which is a being that comes here more in a mission of a volunteer soul because it wants to imprint upon this reality to experience this ascension of earth at this time, because these beings, we've experienced ascension in many other alternate realities before. That's why we have the knowledge and understanding, and yet it's individual, it's different here, it's unique, it's an experience like a precious jewel that hasn't been discovered before. It's still so new. So you can go through it as many times as you want, and you're as humble as a bee. It's new and it's fresh, and this is what love, only love, can deliver to you. That humble unveiling from everything you believe you know, and it's a structure, and you're a master, and all of that. Love is so humbling. It says you are a divine child, and no matter how much knowledge you have, you're still here as a part of the experience. You want to live it, you want to experience, you want to be that kid that, you know, when you were little, you ventured out into the world and you created magic and you lived in your magical realm. And a lot of beings, I believe, they're feeling this now, this step, this jump from all the being informed and knowledge and all of that. We just want to jump right into our true selves, which are the new authentic selves that just want to be fully claimed by spirit. So what spirit says is, it doesn't matter whether you are an old soul or ancient soul, like a new soul, because we all experience ascension in the same way. I'm a volunteer soul myself, and what spirit is showing me, because volunteer souls, we didn't have these incarnations that old soul types have experienced as a light worker type beings. So we imprint upon, you know, we experience in one lifetime. That's very traumatic for us. It's very challenging. That's why they're always like rooting for us, like, yeah, you can do it, because it is so intense. The soul says I can do it, and when you're human, you're like, but can I? You know? And what we do is we imprint upon all these aspects that people usually experience, and all the traumas, everything you have to go through to awaken from it, to take these imprints on, so that you understand how to liberate yourself from it all, so that you create this alchemical equation within you that sets all these energies free, because all the old soul types are doing it now. They're ascending, and a lot of them, of course, for the first time. But what we've done is, because we believe we have this knowledge, it's quite an ego, right? From the galactic perspective, to think you can do it. You just drop down in this world of density with all your knowledge and awareness. You drop down and you're like, okay, I'm clueless. How do I do it now? And all that you get is, you've done it before, you know, and you're like, but do I really? Because a part of you thinks it doesn't know how. And I know there's so many people and prophets and channels and gurus and teachers that explain all how you get it done, and they're all so smart about it. You know, there's a part of them that I feel it's missing, and that's this childlike, beautiful, illumined self that's like, but let us not know everything. Let us be surprised. Let us have that mystical part which is the great void. And you will see that in the Patreon Spirit Channel message. I did that, an hour-long message of channeling, where the message was exactly like this. Because once you're illumined, you will venture out into the great void of the unknown, because it's a new level of challenge. And I know everybody wants to say they got it all covered because they're all-knowing and they're so wise, and we all have aspects. We're wisdom. But there's aspects of us that this wisdom has not yet penetrated into, and that's the job, and that's the journey of a volunteer soul and the mission that's a part of that. So imagine having all these imprints and live them throughout the entire life. In one lifetime, you have to have the entire synthesis work done and laid out in front of you. And that's why my entire, these 8 to 9 years, and I'm now in a 9 universal year, my personal year in terms of numerology, and it's yet another completion for me. And it's been constant work, initiation, work, initiation, sharing. It was like, it was a constant struggle to get it all done. And I'm still laughing at myself. I'm like, how did I do it all? And yet I still feel nothing has been done. Because that's the part. You're so humble. You don't know whether it's being done or not. And today I simply said, because I was after that journaling session, I said to Spirit, you know what? I don't know if I can do it. I really don't know. I honestly will tell you, I don't know. Maybe I can't. I don't know. It wasn't a state of giving up. But you know, whenever we do a sitting down channel meditation, and my mother always tells me, she says, they're always telling me, you're the one who will do it. They're always telling you that. I'm like, why are they so sure of me? I do not know. And she's laughing. They said they're laughing because they have such trust in you, and that's what they're not always there. So obviously, because they step aside so you can do it. I'm like, I don't know. Why is everyone so sure except me? And I think that's a good thing, because the one that's always so sure gets quickly trapped in this game of ego and thinking, you know, boastful ego, like I'm gonna do it, you know, if anyone, who else but me, you know. But it's not truly like that. There's fine line between giving up and that sense of, you know what, I don't know, but you're always in that observing state. Whatever you're doing, you're observing with love. Love also can offer that gift of conscious observation. And it's like you have to allow yourself, you have to allow that inner illumined child to lead the way. I've been talking about this before, that the keys are being surrendered to the inner illumined child when it's time, but only when it's time. So how they show me my path is basically the path of everyone who will eventually, you know, choose ascension at the ultimate physical level of transfiguration. Not just, you know, awakening and that's it, because that's not where the journey ends for ascension devotees. They're showing me for beings who are illumined beings, we jumped very much into the dark abyss. For us, it was difficult. It was very challenging because we were not a part of this world in the way most souls participated in. And for us, it was like, what the heck is happening here? But let me go. It's my time. I need to go. So imagine going from the state of illumination, you fall down. It's like you don't fall, you basically choose to jump into it. So it's a chosen, preset level of conditions that take you through the many layers of traveling through darkness. And this year in 2018, I personally experienced this as going through the tunnel that never ends. And the whole time you're in tunnel vision, so you don't see. And all that's there is like pure faith. It's like, oh my God, I have to have this full trust. And I'm sorry I'm crying now, because it was, for me, it was such a challenging year. And I'm not saying it was difficult, because challenging means things are happening fast and you're given one initiation after the other and you have no break. I had no break, and I knew I'm doing this for myself. I'm navigating my own speed. I'm the one directing it. So why am I complaining? Because it's all chosen by me. And yet the human counterpart was like, you know, when do I just get to be the kid again? When do I have to have my synthesis and move out and start to explore again? And this is the part where this tunnel vision had to meet this hard-based knowing of, you know, why you're doing this. When you have a higher aspect knowing, which is a more expanded, broader vision, that gives you your greatest courage, because you see things from the higher perspective. And the higher perspective, for me, what they're showing me is, it was always, you have to do it, because that way you set the path for those who will follow. People always think, well, illumined beings are just sitting and radiating and, you know, acting like royalty, doing nothing because they're already illumined. No. The illumined beings would choose the most difficult paths and lifetimes, because we know that will get us to do the most work. Because to be a way shower, you have to go through the exactly same things. And this is what most people don't understand. So they will think your life is easy and peachy and rosy and you sit around all day, you do nothing. Boy, I'll tell you that's wrong. That's a totally false perspective. I'm so tired. I'm like, not, the word tired doesn't even fit in. It's exhausted to the maximum. So my body's saying, oh, I can't take it anymore. I keep, hearing these voices. One voice is saying, I can't take this any longer. All my hair here in the bag, they all fell out. What else do you want from me? It was so stressful for the body to walk this path. And yet this courageous lioness part is like, no, we're going. This needs to be done. And in a way, sometimes this was misinterpreted for everything that you go through has to be shared in this way. But no, everything simply has to be reflected back to the self, which means love returns back to its core. It returns the energy. So when the energy of those aspects that move consciously, they descend to the dark aspects, they eventually will be summoned back through love. This is what ascension is. These aspects are being called lifted back up. So we do this journey consciously, inwardly chosen, this hardship and challenges, because most people who choose easy lifetimes, they're not there yet. Not because you have to suffer to ascend, no, but they haven't chosen to do the soul synthesis yet. Maybe it's not their time. But those of you watching and those of you having these immense challenges, and in your heart, you feel it, you are a part of this team. And it was not always easy for you. And this is the group of people I'm usually talking to when I address you as Ascension Pioneers. I know there's other people watching too. Heck, there's people watching now everywhere, whatever they want. It's the freedom of speech, right? And freedom of tuning into whatever you want and your heart desires. It doesn't always mean it's where you are. But people who deeply understand this, they know. Or they cry, they have tears of joy when they listen to messages like this because it affects them so deeply. So sometimes we're being affected in these ways ourselves. So the strangest thing happened to me today. I don't know why, but I will share this with you for some reason. There was someone I was corresponding with, someone who was buying things from my page, and I wrote them something. And then suddenly they say to me, well, you know what, I'll give you this. They said, I've had dreams of you teaching me so many times, and it's not a first. People many times tell me that, and what I was teaching them, and how I looked like, and all very much always similar. And this started occurring, like, let's say somewhere in a few years deep into my awakening. I was aware of this fact that I'm here as a spirit guide in human form. But I didn't know everything. They never give you everything, so it's how it is. All I got was my soul name, Aurea, which is the starlight, the star dawn. And that's it. I was fine with that. I didn't want to be anything else because me, I'm the most comfortable with being me. I don't want to be a being that everyone wants to be. I don't know. Everyone now wants to be Archangel Michael or Metatron or something. I'm like, you know what? You are you. You're a unique star that is you. And that's beautiful. And so that person, all of a sudden, they said, well, I had these dreams and you were teaching me. And then my spirit guides told me that you are a reincarnation of the goddess Aphrodite. So I thought you were not human. I'm like, usually I don't pay attention when I read these things. I'm like, yeah, people have all sorts of ideas about you or whatever. I'm like brushing it off. I really don't deal with what people are saying about me, whether it's positive or negative. I'm like, okay, that's their belief. But something happened today. It was the strangest thing when I read those written words. I bursted like flames into tears, and my mother was there, and I read it to her, and she's like, oh, goosebumps all over. I'm like, what does this mean? I don't want to be someone. I don't want to be a reincarnation of this and that. I don't really believe in those things. So I asked my spirit team, and they said it's complicated. We don't understand these things as how essences come into different forms that are literal manifestation of the divine in the human flesh. I knew this since, again, a few years well into my awakening, that I am a living manifestation of the Divine Mother's Goddess essence. But I didn't want to be hung up to that phrase because I wanted to have a human life, because I so deeply in my own wisdom understood that means I have to be humble. I'm a human now. I'm not like this. I don't need to wear these clothes. Now all women are wearing these goddess floaty like clothes. I want to wear normal human clothes because I like it. And I like to have the sense of firm groundedness. I don't believe the outside manifestation of your body will reveal the essence of who you are. But when I read those words, I'm like bursting into tears and crying, feeling this sense of home. And whatever the purpose of that was, I believe it really showed me the next step. which is to embrace this path of love much deeper than the path of knowledge and sharing with you the knowledge of illumination coming through. So, in the videos that are coming up, I hope you will like them. They were made with lots of love and time. Even though I was doing my own healing and processing, I was still recording the videos. It was very tired, so I did my best. But now I will really have to go in a deeper withdrawal mode. All my content will come out on Patreon always after the 5th of the month. All the content will be out. Lots of surprises coming. I will also do a yearly meditation for everyone. But until then, I just want to say that it's really time for the rebirth of the goddess. Not just what I read when I shared this reading with you, but in every one of us. I believe this is the message. It might mean something to you personally. I know what it means to me from the heart-based feeling. These are some of the things that only I know. And like my team says, some of the things are too complex to describe in the human form. Because for me, it doesn't make sense that they always tell me I don't have lives here and the way others have, and how was I reincarnation of a certain goddess type. So they're telling me this is a very um, metaphysically hard to explain construct for us as humans, because it works with the essences that are moving into a certain form, that are forming or overlighting the form. It's not an individual incarnation. So these incarnations are not really reincarnations, like Aphrodite, Venus, whatever you call it, but they're actually a much greater overfusing energy that overlights the being that has a specific mission, that includes a lot of other souls that are part of that group, that are moving up with the spiral of ascension. And I believe this was always my purpose, and I do it through life force mastery and teaching of that. But it has to come through love, not just knowledge. So this is something I'll be going much deeper into this year. And again, thank you. I'm sorry I forgot to say it in the other videos. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey and watching the videos and liking the videos if you did, and not complaining about the way they are, the way I talk. Thank you, because this is just me. I cannot be different. But I'm also being different because I'm always changing, transforming, and metamorphosing into something new, as well as you are. So thank you for being here. Thank you to my team of Patreon supporters. I'll share more in the monthly content, how this is changing, how I'll be moving my work there, and what's to expect and to come. And there will be a little more of the withdrawal this winter for me, because this is the work of the new birthing. I don't yet know. It's so mysterious to me, but I have to let it happen. I have to allow it to be birthed into what it wants to be. I cannot control this anymore. This is the great surrender they've been showing me for quite a while now. This is happening. They're first showing us, they're giving us indications, and then it's there. And then it's like you either do the work or you're driven by this fire that gets you down if you don't get up and do the actual process of embodiment. So those of you who know and feel this calling in your body, there's this beautiful course I did towards the end of the year 2018, which is called the New Illumined Human Body Course. I advise you to take that if you feel that calling. If not, there's other things and services on my page. My personal work and services are still there. My videos on YouTube will go a little to sleep for a while, because I'm going a little much more in the deeper system of self-navigation at this time, deeper into love. And I trust and I know it will birth something new, because the old ways of doing things have to make room for the new. We can't be the same all the time. We have to change. For me, it's only normal. So yeah, I hope you will enjoy the content. There will be New Year messages coming through. These are my New Year videos and the January update. And all the rest of the content will be on Patreon. On Patreon, I will do also a mini course on this Ascension synthesis. Yeah, what it means. So you're invited to go take a look there. And again, thank you for being here, for continuously being here, supporting my work. Thank you for those of you who continue to donate this channel. Well, not to channel, but to me, to support this work on this channel, as well as being a part of my teachings that will now move more to the Patreon page. And my teachings of love are always here. It's the emanation coming from my heart of illumination. I love you. I wish you the best year ever. Let's make it into the most beautiful heart expansion ever. And I'll see you soon. I love you. Take care. Bye.
Welcome into my world, the world of the elven song, magical.